Okay, welcome everyone to our Dogs and Oils class. I'm Kelly Malloy. I'm super excited that all of you are here. I have the wonderful pleasure of introducing our educator today, who is Denise Page. And probably the reason most of you are here actually, because Denise is the dog expert. Many of us are dog lovers, dog moms or dads. But yes, Denise, you are the expert. I'm sorry, but I have to say that. With 35 years experience as a breeder, over 20 years as a dog trainer, incredibly knowledgeable about pet nutrition and health. She's my go-to person, and for many of you here, I know she's your go-to person when anything happens with your dogs. That's Denise is who we call. So I'm going to introduce Denise and let her take it away. She's going to teach you all about dogs and oils. Oh, and I muted you, Denise. Hang on.
I think I got it. How
There you
about
go.
now? We good?
Good.
All right. Thank you for that. There's a lot of dog lovers and experts in this group. That I was looking through all of the dog bios, which I read every one of them, and I love them all. And I love finding out their names and how old they are and what they look like and what breeds they are. Like, I just enjoy all of it. And I just think to myself, like, what else can bring so many people together, right? And it's always like an uplifting and happy thing. So I love that. And I think collectively as dog enthusiasts, we all bring a lot to the table. So we all learn and share. We all learn from each other. We share with each other. So I think that's fantastic. So thank you everybody for being here, for being in the group and wanting to learn more about oils with dogs. So I'm going to silence my phone because it's going to go off the entire time. So let me just say, we're gonna talk, a little bit here. Some of the stuff that you're going to hear is going to be a duplicate of things you've heard before, but there are going to be people that are going to be watching this afterwards on the replay, and we have people that are brand new, have never tried oils before, have oils, but have not used them on their dogs. So we have people from all different levels. So I'm going to try to do some general oils talk and then get into a little bit more specifics, but just know we're not going to be able to teach everything today in this class. We're going to be here all week. We're probably going to be here a little bit longer than that, but we're certainly committed to teaching you about the specific samples that we sent out, and we'll talk a lot more about those in a few minutes. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a vet, not a medical professional. Any information that we share here is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any ailment or any disease. And also, when we talk about oils, just know that the purpose is not to replace your veterinarian, okay? They're designed to help with your health, to support your health. But just know that they're not there to replace your vet. If your dog has issues, you want to get the diagnostics, you want to involve your vet. Your vet may not be an oils person, that's okay. If you can find one, that's even better. But if they're not, that's okay. Just know that these oils are not intended to replace your vet. Your vet is a valuable tool in the overall health of your dog, okay? So if you're here in this group, you're probably already aware of harmful toxins in our environment, and you're interested or committed to wanting to remove them from your life as much as possible, and you want to include your pet too. I think one of the biggest things that was consistent in all the comments and all the dog bios was that I love my dog and I want to do the best for them, and that includes removing toxins, harmful toxins, as much as possible. And we can't always get away from that. It would be great if we could, but we want to minimize it as much as possible. And if we can't get away from it, what can we do to help support the system to eliminate it as best they can, right? So I think that if you're here, you're already interested in alternative options. And on some level, you know that essential oils can be a great tool in your toolbox, okay? There's a lot of things that we can do. and essential oils are one of those things, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Some of you have received, hang on, the sample box. Okay, these are the items that were in the sample box. Depending on who sent your box out to you, there may be a few different items, but essentially they're items from the Animal Sense line. Some of you may have your box already. Some of you, it may be on their way. It may be on the way. So if you're a brand new user and you received your samples and you're not sure how to use them on your dog yet, we just ask that you hang tight, be patient, and not to use them on your pet until we've had a chance to go over the products with you. We just want to make sure that you do use them safely, okay? We've also had some people who are experienced oilers, and they're ready to get going, and they've asked about how to purchase more products, how to get these things. So I just want to mention right here, right now, if you're not already a member and you want to purchase products, okay, if you're not already a Young Living customer and you want to purchase products, reach out to the person that invited you to this group, okay? What happens is, if we would like for you to order these products with them as your sponsor, what that gives you is support from us, okay? That will ensure that you get the right education, that you get the right support. A lot of these people, a lot of us, we work really hard to provide education for you, and we want to make sure that we can help you out with that, okay? So if you're ready to go and you're ready for products and you're not yet a Young Living customer, definitely reach out to us and we'll help you get started, okay? We've had a few people in the background ask about that, so I just wanted to mention that right away, okay? All right, any questions? Got the chat up here, so can you guys hear that bell that keeps going off? Anyhow, okay, so we're going to talk about why essential oils. Does that bell, can you guys hear that in the recording? You can?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah,
know
I'm
how,
not sure what that is either.
because I'm afraid if I hit, can you hear me now? You can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, we'll see if that works. I don't know.
And Denise, I'll let you know if any questions pop up that we need to answer.
That
right
would be
away.
awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. All right, so why essential oils? Again, this might be a little bit of a review for somebody, but that's okay, because here's the thing, it's really good to understand what essential oils are, why they work, why we choose them, sometimes more so than here, use this oil for that. That's not how essential oils work, all right? Obviously, we can make some suggestions, but it's really important to know why and how they work. Essential oils are the lifeblood of a plant, all right? They protect and help heal plants. So they're going to protect a plant from outdoor things. It's going to help it thrive, and it's going to help heal it if the plant is injured in some way. You know, if the bark is cut, if the stem is cut, or if it's, of course, out in the elements, if it's being exposed to all the elements. So it's going to help protect that plant and help it grow. We benefit from those same constituents, okay? So those essential oils actually help create homeostasis, balance in our bodies, just like it does to the plants, okay? So when you think about that, when you choose an oil, think about that. It's helping our bodies to heal themselves, okay? Whether it's us or animals, okay? They're also the purest, most concentrated source of organic compounds, which is pretty cool. They're pretty strong. They're very powerful. They've been long referred to as nature's first medicine. And if you do any research on medicine and oils, you'll know that oils have helped to guide and further pharmaceutical research, right? So a lot of our medications that we have today originally came from essential oils. So certainly we've all heard, well, I think we have. I think if you're here, you've probably heard about things like the flea and tick products, probably some medications that have side effects, right? They can create allergies, skin issues, seizures. These are things that have a lot of synthetic products in them, a lot of pesticides in them. There's just a lot of what we would call like synthesizing, right? Synthesizing of molecules. And a lot of times these things are actually worse than what we're trying to prevent or cure, right? So, we might take a medication to help with, or give our dog a medication to help with diarrhea, let's say. It might do that, but there are side effects that are going to happen that are probably worse than the diarrhea itself. Okay, so we've had centuries of this. We've had centuries of the industrialization of medicine that can have negative side effects, and the essential oils are here to help us to overcome that, to minimize those side effects. Right? Does that make sense? Yes? No? We're good?
I have a question.
Yes.
If you're trying to prevent like you mentioned diarrhea, so probiotics aren't good for that, because I use like Purina probiotics, and that really fixes the job up if somebody's eating something at the park they shouldn't have.
Sure, but probiotic is not a medicine, right? So we're talking about the synthesizing certain molecules to mimic things like essential oils, the constituents that are in an essential oil. So we're talking about certain medicines.
Okay.
Probiotic is not a medicine, right? There's not going to be a side
Okay.
effect to
Okay, I was just never seen a side effect out of that.
It's not a.
Okay, thank you.
There are certain drugs out there that do contain that, and I'll just say metronidazole is one of them, right? That's a medication that is used to help with diarrhea, but there are tons of side effects to that affect the gut biome, right? So that's just one example. The flea and tick collars, they're there to serve a purpose, and they do, right? But there's tons of side effects that come along with that. Make sense? So we're hoping to incorporate essential oils as a tool to still address those issues, things like diarrhea, pest control, but to minimize the side effects. Okay. One of the things I want to talk about, I think most people here on this call right now are aware of some of the safety issues, but because there will be a lot of people on the replay, I do want to briefly go over this. There's a lot of fear on the internet, mostly, about using essential oils with dogs. And I want to dispel some of those myths. And if you have any questions about this, please, type it in the chat or unmute yourself and raise your hand. You can safely use oils with dogs as long as you're using them wisely. All right. Dogs can metabolize oils. They absolutely can. They just do it at a much slower rate. They use a different enzyme than we do, but they do have an enzyme that metabolizes oils. They just do it much more slowly. So you want to take caution and introduce them slowly to dogs. You don't want to overwhelm them with a lot of oils. Horses, for instance, metabolize way faster than we do. They can handle a lot. We can handle a little bit less, and dogs even less, cats even less. So it's not that they're toxic to them. It's just that you have to use them appropriately around dogs. Okay. When essential oils are toxic, the things that you may have heard on the internet, it's usually because it's a poor quality oil. Quality is super important when we're talking about essential oils. It's one of the mainstays. And I hope that if you're talking with anybody about oils, you will hear that over and over and over again. There are a lot of oil products on the market today, and a lot of them are adulterated. They are cut with other products that are toxic to dogs. Dogs are very sensitive to certain substances, and so are kids to some degree, right? They're very sensitive to certain substances, and so you want to be careful. You have to know that the oil that you're using is pure. all right? The other thing that is a factor in this, and in choosing which oils you're using, is how the plants are grown, how the oils are extracted, and how they're distilled. All of those processes make a big difference, because if you're growing plants with pesticides, guess what's going to end up in the bottle, right? If you're not harvesting them at the right time, you may not get the right constituents in that oil. It may not be helpful at all. If they're not being distilled properly, the oil could end up being damaged. So there's a lot of factors that go into making these essential oils. I know that there are a lot of people in here probably that have dabbled or are dabbling in other oils. I'm here to talk to you about Young Living essential oils. I don't know about other products, but I will say Young Living pioneered the industry standard for essential oils, and they have a really strict process on making sure that the oils they bring to market, that they bring to us, are pure and safe. And if you want to learn all about that, I'm not going to go into the details. It's called Seed to Seal. It's a seed to seal process. You can go to seedtoseal.com, and they do a great job of explaining that whole process and why Young Living oils are safe, and why we can use them on our dogs and ourselves for that matter. Hey, Kelly, would you mind putting in the chat the link to that website? Because I think it's really important. It's not a very long presentation, but it really explains how the oils are grown and, like I said, extracted and distilled. So, all right. So that's really important. And when you're choosing essential oils, don't go cheap. Don't buy them off the store shelf. You don't know what's in them. The fear that you hear on the internet is really about poor quality oils. Okay. The other thing, actually, no, I'm going to get into that in a second. I'll wait on that. Any issues? Any questions about the fear of using oils around dogs? Good. Okay.
Denise, just one thing. Are you going to talk about like room size and?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to get into that now. I'm going to talk about the 3 ways to use essential oils, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the safety things while I discuss that. I want to have more time at the end for you guys to ask questions, so I'm going to try to do it in that format.
Perfect.
But if I forget anything, Kelly, Lisa, Darlene, let me know. All right, so there are 3 ways to use essential oils: aromatically, topically, and internally. Okay, we're going to talk about the aromatic use first, and that's with a diffuser. Okay, this is a cold water diffuser. All right, and you probably all have one, but in case for the people on the replay, if you don't have one, you fill it with water. Super simple here. I'm going to just do this right now. You fill it with water, and you add your oil. I'm going to use TUA. This is an essential oil that was probably in your sample box if you got a sample box. It's from our Animal Sense line, right? Young Living has a line specific for animals. It's already pre-diluted. So, when I said that, dogs metabolize oils a lot more slowly than we do, that means that sometimes you have to dilute the oils. So these Animal Sense oils are already pre-diluted. So if you're not yet experienced with how to do that, you don't have to worry if you're getting the Animal Sense oils. It's already done for you, okay? So you put the water in the diffuser. You simply drop a few drops in. I'm just going to do 3 drops. And there you go. Turn it on. Probably can't see it, and that's it. So that's going to fill the room with the essential oil. And just by breathing it in, you're going to get the benefits of the oil. Okay. your dogs are going to start to get the benefits from that oil. Now, I want to say, if you're a brand new oils user, or if your dog is brand new, when you put the oil in your diffuser, start slow and low, okay? You want to go slowly with these dogs if they're not used to it. I would normally put 6 to 8 drops, maybe more, in this diffuser, okay? My dogs have been around oils their entire lives. They're born with them. But if your dog is not used to it, you want to start with maybe 2 drops, okay? It's very important. You don't want to overwhelm your dog. You also want to make sure that you're not diffusing in a closed room, the door's closed and your pet can't get out. They can't leave on their own. You don't want to overwhelm them. You want to make sure that there's some airflow, that they have the ability to leave the room if they choose to. You always want to have fresh water available. And again, if you're in doubt, just go slow. Okay, a little bit of oil is going to be fine. You don't need to have more is not always better. Okay, so just remember that's super, super important. Just go slowly. And the other thing too is dogs, they have a greater sense of smell, right? So even though we may not smell this, they certainly do. And don't be surprised if your dog comes up to the diffuser. I've had plenty of dogs actually come up and put their nose right in the stream, right? That's totally possible. Some dogs won't even care. They won't even notice, you won't even notice a difference with them, and other dogs will be like, yeah, I'm good. And don't be alarmed if that happens, okay? That doesn't mean that they hate them. They're just not interested, okay? That's all that means. So just—
Denise, are there any oils that shouldn't be diffused around dogs?
There are some high phenol oils. Phenols are a constituent in essential oils. There are some high phenol oils that come with some caution, and they're what we would call hot oils. And those are oils like cinnamon bark, clove, oregano, thyme. If you think about how those oils smell, they're pretty strong, right? So tea tree is another one that has been talked about. You want to take caution with those. I have diffused all of those oils, and sometimes at pretty high levels. My dogs are used to oils, okay? So I want to make sure you understand that. I've diffused those. So it's not that they're not safe. You just want to be smart about it. You want to use a little bit of common sense with these oils. Some of those hot oils, just be careful. Just be a little bit cautious, okay? You don't want to overwhelm the dogs if they're brand new to it. So the other way, are there any other questions about inhalation? The other thing you can do is you can put oils on yourself, right? Like if you just put an oil, this is Genius, by the way, Genius. This is from our Kid Sense line, and it's diluted for kids. So if it's diluted for kids, it's great for dogs. But I usually use Brain Power, but I couldn't find it, so I figured today Genius would be a good option. You can put it on yourself, right? This is a great way too. You have suddenly become a diffuser. All right. When you put oil in your palm like that and you rub it around, that's like diluting it. You can put it, if you can smell it, it's working. And you can put it on you, and now you have become a diffuser. What I want to warn you against is not going up to your dog like this, up to their nose, okay? That's offensive to them. Their sense of smell is so much greater than ours, and that could be really off-putting. So don't do that. So if you're using yourself as a diffuser, that's great. They'll just smell it on you. That's awesome. But don't do that and just go up to your dog and force them to smell it. Let them come to you on their own. Any questions?
Denise, can I say something real quick?
Yep.
When you were talking about diffusing like cinnamon bark and clove, like you said, I've diffused that around the house with the dogs and the cats, but it's in an open room, and I always use like another oil with it. You know, I usually do like I'm making a diffuser blend.
Right.
And that's been fine. So like you said, you got to like tea tree and thyme. Honestly, I wouldn't diffuse that anyway.
I know. Oh, I hate the smell of tea tree. Interestingly enough, I like tea tree with other oils, right? Same with patchouli. I like that with other oils. And that's a really good point. A lot of these animal scents, a lot of the animal scents lines, the products in the animal scents line, they have all of those oils in them, but they're just not, they're with other oils. They're mixed in a blend, right? So they're not just that one oil. And you don't want to be diffusing the same oil day after day after day, 24 hours a day, like tea tree all day long. Like that would just be crazy. That's just too much. It's overwhelming. You want to drop a few little drops of tea tree in with something else, with some lavender. That's fantastic. You want to change it up a little bit, maybe diffuse some frankincense, maybe drop in a little bit of eucalyptus. That's great. A lot of those oils are in an oil we have called Thieves. Right? Again, it's not the main oil, but it's within the blend, and you can diffuse Thieves. So you want to rotate your oils. You don't want to use the same oil, especially if it's a high phenol oil, for hours on end, day after day after day. Okay. All right.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
I live in a studio, so there is no way for the dog to leave. And I have used topically from Young Living, and it seems to be going well. But like, is a diffuser safe to live in to use in a studio, because he can't leave?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you just don't, is your dog used to oils? You said you've used them before.
Well, yeah, I use Young Living on him topically, but I've never used a diffuser, and I've wondered about it because I do live in a studio.
Yeah, it's fine. So what you want to do is put your diffuser usually a higher spot.
Okay.
So if you have the opportunity to put it in a higher spot, that would be great. And then you don't want to put a ton of oils in it, right? Like the room that I'm in right now is actually pretty open, so I can afford to put 8 to 10 drops in here if I wanted. It's very open. But in a smaller room, I might put only 1 drop. Okay. And if you have a diffuser from Young Living, there's different modes on it where you can run it for intermittently. You can run it for just a few hours on high.
So it has a clock then? It has a clock?
There's not a clock.
Like a timer?
You don't have to put as much water in it. It will just stop.
Okay.
So maybe not fill it to the top, maybe just put half of it in there, and then it'll only diffuse for a short period of time. And if you're in a studio and you're worried about that, don't use any of the high phenol oils.
Right? Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
And Denise, there was a question about how long is too long? Is there a period of time or a number of hours that's too much?
It's going to depend. No, I'm going to say no, there isn't. Unless you're using a high phenol oil and you're watching your dog and he's scratching his face on the floor, or he's agitated, or right, that's when oh, you know what, maybe it's too long. But no, I literally, there are times when I have 3 or 4 diffusers going in all different parts of my house 24/7. Okay. Again, my dogs are totally used to it. I've got areas where they can sort of escape from it if they wanted to. I don't think anybody really does here, but so it's dependent on your situation. If you've got like your studio apartment, if you were diffusing 24/7 on high, that might be a bit much, right? Just watch your dog. Watch your dog. Does that answer the question? Good. Okay.
Thing to say when you were saying like we're the diffuser for the dogs.
Yeah.
And you're right, because Nala, you can tell, has been around, obviously she's almost 7. She's been around the oils a lot more. Depending on what you put on me, she'll stay around. If she doesn't like it, she'll sniff and walk away. Toby, on the other hand, is a little bit, because he's only 3. He'll do the same thing with the stuff. She sticks around, he'll smell it and take off. So
yeah, they have their preferences, right? And even if they take off, it's not like, oh, that's a bad oil. That's just not one they're into. It's not today. Maybe another day, maybe never. Doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. They're just not interested. So, hey, Milo. All right, so let's move on to using them topically. Believe The other way that you can get your dogs to benefit from them is to put the oils on them topically. All right, and that's just right on them. Believe, I think she's sleeping somewhere. So a few things. Oh, hi. You never want to put oils around their face, okay? Again, at least not when they're brand new. You never want to put, I don't care how experienced the dog is with oils, you never want to put oils, get the oils in their eyes. You don't want to put it on their nose. That would be terrible. You do not want to put them in the ear canal. You do not want to drop oils or any blend of oils in the ear. There are some things out on the internet. I've seen some mixes where they say it's okay. Do not do that. You can damage the eardrum. Just don't even go there. Don't go there with the eyes. Don't go there with the nose. Genitals, stay away from that area. It can be, those are really sensitive areas. So you definitely want to stay away from those areas. She's watching a squirrel here. Come up here. The best place to put them is on their fur, right on their back. Believe, come up here. I'm going to move this down a little bit. All right, come up here. So let me just get down. All right. This is Believe. She loves oils. All right. So let's do this. Okay. When you're introducing your dog to oils, what you want to do is you can put the oil on your hand like I did before. Right? Go rub your hands together and start here and go back. All right. That's all you have to do to get the oils. You don't have to move the hair if you've got a dog with hair, and get it on the skin. You don't have to do that. All right. You can put it on the hair. Every hair is like a wick into their body. All right. Now there are some dogs that have their different hair follicles. That's going to affect the absorption of the oil. So, maybe dogs like Chessies or other dogs that have thicker hair follicles. So, but it's still going to get in there. All right. It's still going to get in there. You can put it on their tail. This is a great place to put that. You can put it all down on their legs, underneath. Again, you just want to avoid genital area, like all of that, because that's sensitive, but don't be afraid to put it on their legs and on their back. What you want to avoid, now, Believe is a very experienced oiler. Can you sit? Oh, he's camera shy. We always laugh every time we put the camera in front of her. She won't smile. We're always trying to get her to smile. No, stay sitting. You don't want to come at them like this. Okay, I have oils on my hands. You don't want to come at them like this. Unless they're experienced, you don't want to put them on their head, again, on their ears, right? Even on their chest sometimes can be too much because they're not going to be able to escape that. Don't forget their sense of smell is 100 times greater than ours, right? So we don't want to put oils that they can't escape from. All right, you want to go now? You're gonna lay right there. Okay. All right, come on. One of the things that, go on. Something that you hear about a lot is putting oils on the pads of their pads of their feet. And there's different theories out there. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good idea, is what I should say. It can be a very sensitive area for them. It's not like us, you hear a lot like we put oils on the bottom of our feet and it helps the absorption, it helps slow down the absorption, and it's a great place to use for people and for kids. It's not necessarily a great place to use on dogs. You can put it in between their toes. You can put it, around here, but I would avoid the actual pad. That can be a really sensitive area for them. And I would much rather see you put it on their paw, between their toes, than on the pad itself. Okay. Are there any questions?
Yes. So there's a question about applying oils for tick and flea repellent. Same area, same places. What do you do about the head and the neck area?
That's a really great question. And because we have a lot of new people to oils here, I do want to say, you want, this is a tick spray, by the way, this is a bottle. So I'm gonna, demonstrate. We wanna, you think you wanna spray around the neck, and you do. However, please introduce your dogs to oils first before you do that, okay? Please, please, please. If they are new to oils, do the same thing. Use your spray it from their back down, their legs, their tail, their underbody, but again, still avoid their face and their neck. It can be really overwhelming for them if they're not used to it. There's a lot of puppies in this group too, especially the puppies. It can be overwhelming for them if they're not used to it. So please get them used to it first. One of the things I do a lot is I'll take like a towel, a rag, and I'll spray that, and then I'll kind of wipe it around. So again, it's diluting it even more. It's diffusing it even more, right? It's less is more until they're used to it, I can take this and spray my dogs down without a problem. I can spray their neck area, but again, they are used to it, okay? Another suggestion for going outside for flea and ticks is you can soak like a bandana. You can let it dry and then put that around them. Just watch your dog. If you put it on and they seem unaffected by it, that's great. If you put it on them and they're like, holy cow, well, guess what? You can take it off. It's not like spraying them. You can't take it off of them after that, right? So if you want to get a bandana, spray it down, let it dry a little bit. You can also do that with a collar, one of those, fabric collars. You can soak the collar in the solution and let that dry a little bit. Again, put that on, that will be helpful. And if they do seem to react to that in terms of, I don't really like it, you can just take it off. So that's an option if they're not yet used to it. Once they're used to it and they're comfortable with it, then by all means, you can spray them. Again, don't spray the face. You do not want these oils in their eyes. If you have to, spray your hand like this, put it on their ears, right, on their head, but don't spray their head with it.
And Denise, that spray that you have in your hand is just one that you made with oils and water, right?
Yes. So this this is the Young Living's Thieves cleaner, household cleaner, and I just repurposed the bottles because it's a good type of plastic to store oils in. So this is just water and a little bit of witch hazel, which helps to keep the oils and the water mixed up. You can also use actual Thieves household cleaner. You can use like a half a capful if you don't have witch hazel to help keep those oils mixed up. And then I have, like, this is, what is this, 14 ounce bottle. I would put probably like 20 to 30 drops of different oils in here. Okay. If you have a small bottle, like 4 ounces or 8 ounces, you might only do like 10 to 15 drops. Start low. You can always add more. If you've created something that is too strong, you feel it's too strong, well, dump half of it out into a little canning jar, add some water, and just dilute it, okay?
Now, Denise, the Young Living insect repellent would do the same thing, right?
Yep, you can use the insect repellent. And we'll talk more about the insect repellent later this week, but this is also an option, same type of thing. This comes in a little pump, but you can always add a spray top to this bottle. If regular standard spray tops fit on this, or you can dilute it, but same type of thing. There's oils in here, right? There's essential oils in here. So it's the same thing. You just want to be careful about where you're applying it, how much, how often, depending on where your dog is at. All right. Let's see, we talked about that. Oh, bathing, that's another way that they can benefit from the oils. And again, we're going to talk about, you probably received shampoo if you got the samples in your sample box, and we'll talk more about the shampoo a little bit later on, but this is also another way for them to get the benefits of essential oils. There's oils in the shampoo, all right? And they get a residual effect from this. They get a residual effect for pest control when you're washing them with things that have essential oils in them. So that's another way in which they can benefit from the oils. Okay. And we'll talk more about that this week. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of all of these products. All right. I just want to go through a couple of oils because I know a lot of you have these questions since we just talked about like flea and tick concerns. I know that's a big question everybody has. And I think it's a great question because there's so many issues with a lot of these flea and tick products on the market. And so I just want to go through a couple of oils that are helpful when you're making your sprays, right? Here are a few oils that are really good for that. We have a blend called Purification. And what's in Purification? Lemongrass, citronella, rosemary, lavender, myrtle, tea tree. Okay, if you have Purification, you can look on the bottle and see what oils are in it. But those are all oils that are great for pest control. Great for other things also, but right now we're talking about pest control. A few of the other oils. I think I mentioned that one already. Citronella, lavender, lemon is good. Geranium is an excellent oil for tick repellent. Geranium, cedarwood, eucalyptus, tea tree. I'm going to duplicate some of them. Peppermint, patchouli. These are all fantastic oils to add to your spray. Now, you don't have to add all of those oils, right? You don't have to add all those oils. If you have 2 oils, do you know what's in here right now? Cedarwood. There's only 2, cedarwood and maybe Purification. But Purification has, what, 4 or 5 different oils, 5, 6 different oils in it, okay, at a diluted level. But so there's only a few things in here. There's really not that much. If I just had cedarwood, I would have just used cedarwood, right? Don't get hung up on having to use every single oil just because it's suggested. Use what you have, okay? I know a lot of you who got started with Young Living purchased a premium starter kit that had the diffuser and had 12 or 13 different oils. If all you have is lavender, frankincense, peppermint, that's what you use. You've got some lemon, put a couple of drops of lemon in there. Like, those are still all fantastic oils to use. The reason why those oils were in that kit is because they provide a broad spectrum of uses, right? That you can use them in a lot of different areas. Go ahead and use those. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, Purification, that's the only oil that's good for repelling ticks. That's not true. Use what you have, okay? Any oil is better than no oil. So if you're ever in a quandary about, oh gosh, I don't know, is this oil all right? Is that oil? Use your oil. Use your oil. If all you have is lemon, use lemon. If all you have is frankincense, use frankincense, okay? Is that her hand raise?
Here, I have a question. Sorry, I was on mute.
I just noticed the hand. I was like, oh.
Yeah, there's a hand raise. I have a question. So if you're using it, because I've never used it as a pest repellent, if you're using it as a pest repellent, like how often do you, like every time they go out or what? Like, because my dog's out off and on all day.
Yeah, that's a good question. So you're going to have to judge that, right? You have to judge that on your own. So what kind of area do you live in? Is it highly infested? Are they always coming back with ticks? In my yard here, I don't even have to spray them sometimes, but they get oils a lot, right? They'll go outside and roll around. This is called, sorry, but my roll in the hay spray. I don't have grass. I have pretend grass. It's essentially hay and dirt. And they go out there and they roll around in it. And they come in, I'm like, yeah, you're not coming in my house like that. And I spray them down, or I spray a wet cloth and I wipe them down. They're getting oils on them just by me doing that. There's a residual effect to that. Okay, so I'm brushing them down. I'm always adding some oils. We'll talk a little bit more about internal use, but they get oils internally. So there's a residual effect to that. They've got a lot of oils on and in them, okay? They're also not in a hugely infested area here. So if your dog goes out, you got to try it out. Spray them in the morning, see how it goes. Let them out. You might need to spray them more than once a day.
Okay.
You might only need once a day. Okay.
My dog like runs through the woods and runs all over the place, so I'd be concerned because I do use a topical tick and flea.
Yeah, and that's your choice. We're not here to say don't use those things. We're here to say there are some side effects. If you're concerned about using those products, there are other options. If you're interested in a more natural approach, there are other ways to address it. It's not going to work the same way, right? These topical flea and tick products typically mean the tick has to bite the animal before it dies, right? So that's not how these things work. They work differently. They're two different tools, okay?
Okay.
And you have to decide which one you want, okay? These are going to help to repel. That if you use oils, it's not going to work like a flea and tick product where they're going to bite the animal and that tick's going to die. You still have to check your dog for ticks, okay? And these are going to just help to prevent ticks from getting on them in the first place.
Denise, if a dog goes in and out of water, do you need to reapply after that?
It's going to be less effective topically. I will tell you, there's a few of us here actually that train a lot in water, or our dogs go swimming a lot. I never reapply it. Again, I think my dogs are sort of like concentrated with oils. They've got so much in and on them. I don't typically reapply it, but I would say kind of like sunscreen. You go in, you go swimming and you probably want to reapply it, even after a few hours. If you're sweating more, you want to apply it more frequently. So in that respect, it's the same way. Especially if you're in a heavily infested area, you might want to reapply it.
Makes sense.
Are there any other questions in the chat, actually? Are we good?
We answered all of them.
Okay, great. Okay, where are we at? All right, so let's talk about internal use, unless anybody has any more questions about external. And again, we're going to talk more about all these things moving forward. We're kind of giving a nice, good overview right now, and we're going to dive deeper into a lot of these things over the next week or so. So dogs can benefit from essential oils internally. Oh, I don't. Hold on one second. Kelly, do you have a Vitality, or Darlene, does anybody have a Vitality oil with them? I just don't happen to have one with me.
I have one. I don't have it with me. Do you want me to grab one?
If you have one, so we can show everybody. I'm so sorry. I have all these oils and no Vitality oil. Well, that wasn't very good of me. This is my little first aid kit, and I don't leave home without it. And it's all the great oils for me and the dogs.
I have a few.
Okay, great. So Kelly is showing you right now these oils, the oil bottles. They're called Vitality oils, and they have a white label. So any oil from Young Living that has a white label that is called Vitality is generally regarded as safe. You see it listed as GRAS, okay, generally regarded as safe, and that is a label given by the FDA, and they are safe for internal consumption. Okay, so we can give our dogs essential oils, the same ones that we take, they can take as well. The difference being, we can probably put an essential oil in some water and drink it down and be like, oh, that was a little tough, but we're going to take it. Dogs aren't going to be that way, right? They're going to smell that and they're going to say, no way, I'm not even remotely going near that. So one of the things that you can do, or one of the things that I do all the time, is I use a veggie cap. And I literally put the oil in the veggie cap. And I'm a raw feeder. I feed raw food, so it's easy for me to stick it in a meatball. And most of my dogs will just take it down. I've got one dog that's pretty finicky, and she'll smell it and she'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So I just pill her and just put it right in. We're all dog people here. We know what pilling means, right? I don't know what that means. Just let me know. But basically just stick it down their throat. And that's a great way to give these dogs essential oils internally. And why would you want to do that? Because it helps to boost their immune system. I do this a lot, especially I'm really particular about it with this season coming up. The nice weather, they're outside, they're exposed to a lot of different things. They may get a tick bite, and I'm going to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to boost their immune system. Okay. What are some of the oils that you can use for that? This is one of them, Digest. This is a great oil to use internally. This does not have a white label, okay? There is the label that the FDA gives requires us to use. We can't talk about an oil for both topical and internal reasons at the same time. Okay, so if we're using Digest in the diffuser or topically, we have to talk about Digest in this dark colored label. Okay, this oil also comes in a Vitality version with the white label. It's the same exact oil. There is no difference in the contents on the inside. It is simply a labeling issue from the FDA. So if you know that like Digest has a Vitality version, then you can use the oil in either labeled bottle. Okay, but Digest is a great oil to use to give them internally in a capsule. Young Living also has a lot of supplements. Inner Defense is one of them. Inner Defense. This is a gel tab. Oop, can you see that? And this is the one that I use almost exclusively in these upcoming months to keep their immune system strong. I'll do this. I have, my dogs are, 50, 60 pounds. I'll do one of these every other day. That's what I do. If you have a smaller dog, you might want to poke a hole in this and, maybe put only a few drops in a veggie cap and give it to your dog that way. Always use some common sense in terms of, if this is a product for on the label for a person, it says, take one, for an adult person. If you've got, 50-pound dog, you want to reduce that dosage. If you've got a 10-pound dog, you want to reduce that even more. Okay, does that make sense? So we want to use a little bit of common sense with some of these things. But the bottom line is these products are safe to give to dogs. They're safe for us. They're safe for your dogs. There's another product called Parafree, which I use a lot on my dogs. Obvious reasons, Parafree. And again, this is a gel tab, which I will either put in their food or pill them. I am going to make one warning about one particular ingredient, because when I say it's safe for us, it's safe for them. The one thing that is not safe for them is any product that contains xylitol. Huge, 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 right? Even the smallest amount of xylitol in chewing gum can cause a problem for our dogs. And I will say this in every single class because it's so important. Sometimes we don't think about some of the products we give our dogs, or we may not think about it, and it very well could have xylitol in it. Young Living does have a product in their Kids Sense line. Okay, it's not in their Animal Sense, it's in their Kids Sense line, and it's called Kids Sense Unwind, and I think it's in like a little stick. It's like a little powder stick, and it does contain xylitol. If you get that product, just make sure your dog doesn't get a hold of it. Okay, so just be aware of that. Always be aware of that. I know that there were some, it's used as a sweetener. So there may be some products, other products that you get outside of Young Living that may have xylitol in it. Just be careful and make sure your pet doesn't get a hold of any of those things. Do you have any questions about the internal use?
I just had a quick question. Is there a like a mobility one, like a joint one? My dog has $5,000 knees, so I was just curious.
Yes, actually there are. We have a whole line of things. Sulfurzyme is a huge one.
Okay.
ELM is another one.
ELM.
Agilese. What other ones?
Agilese.
I feel like there's another one that I'm forgetting.
Okay. Well, that's a good start. Thank you.
You're welcome. One of the things that you can do is grab one of these. This is the animal desk reference, okay? And I think they're actually going to, at some point, stop producing this book, which is very, very sad. So if you're interested, I would get one right away. Kelly, might you be able to put in the chat the link for where to get this? I think they do have them on Amazon, but you can also get them at a place called Life Science Publishing. And Kelly's going to put the link in the chat where you can get this book. This book is, I mean, it's invaluable. It will go through, there's a section for cats, for dogs, for chickens, for farm animals, and for mice, for horses, birds, right? But the amazing thing is, like, it will go through the oils. It will tell you all about the oils. In each section for each species, it will, let me just get to the dog section here. So, oh, this is probably a good one. So let's say, oh, here's a good one. Since we were talking about this before, we're in the dog section and you have questions about diarrhea, right? So it's gonna give you a little bit of information. It's gonna recommend some oils, some singles, some blends, some of the nutritional supplements. It's gonna give you some information on how to help your dog's body deal with that situation, okay? If you have only one oil in this list of recommendations, right, there's probably a good, I don't know, 10 different products here, maybe 12 between oils and supplements. If you have one, use that one. You don't have to use all of them, okay? The other thing I want to mention right now, I just thought of it, rotation is super important. Just because frankincense works, you don't need to use frankincense all the time, every single day, even like my Digestive, which I use a lot, right? I'm not going to do this every single day, day in, day out for year after year after year. Rotation is very important. Sometimes take a break from it. Take a week off, take 2 weeks off, use a different oil, use different oils in your diffuser, use different oils in your tick spray. You know, if there's a few different oils that they're recommending in anything that you're looking up here, use 1 or 2 of them, and then maybe down the road, try a different one, okay? We all respond a little bit differently to oils. How they interact with our cells is different for everybody, and the same with our dogs. It's gonna be different for them. It's gonna be different for them as they come to a point of balance or out of balance, right? So don't be afraid to try different oils, and don't feel like, well, this is the only one that I can use. You also don't want them to get used to the same oil. A lot of times that can create a sensitivity, right? So it's really important. And that's true of any supplement that you're using with them. It's good to either take a break sometimes. Probiotics is a fantastic example of that. If you're using a probiotic, change it up every once in a while. If the one you're always using happens to be out of stock or you can't get it, that's a great opportunity to get something different and bring in some different, probiotics, to bring in some different things in there. So same thing with oils. Don't be afraid to rotate them. They all have different constituents and they do different things, and it's really good to rotate. That was a good question, because I almost forgot to talk about the book. Forgot to talk about the book last time. There's so many things. Like I have so many notes, you guys. Like I could talk about this all day long and there'd still be stuff. All right, any questions? Any other questions so far? What do you guys want to know? What have I not talked about that you're just dying to know, that you want to know about? Nothing? I've covered it all.
Actually, Denise, could you just talk for a second about the internal health, right? So when we talk about repelling insects and things like that, it has a lot to do with the overall health of the dog, right?
Yeah.
So that internal environment. And since you were just talking about how to take and use oils internally and the supplements internally, can you just kind of round that out for us?
Yeah, so you know, the essential oils are a tool, like we talked about before, and you want to look at the health of the dog overall, and that's going to include things like their diet, things like chemical use in our homes, what they're being exposed to. So it's an overall thing. A dog can be experiencing some kind of inflammation, and we can say, oh, well, we're just going to throw some Copaiba at that. That's great, but we want to address the reason for that inflammation. And it may be their diet, right? And it may be some product that we're using to clean the floors. Kelly posted a great article in the group yesterday about how dogs are affected by things that we use, cleaning products that we use on the floor, right? Because they're walking on the floor, they're licking their pads, they're licking the floor, they're down there all the time, right? So it could be that. So we want to be aware of their diet. They need to have a good species appropriate diet. Those are things that are going to help their health. I'm in a lot of different groups, a lot of them managed by veterinarians. And the number one thing when somebody talks about an ailment, the number one thing they always say is, what's their diet, right? We want to create health from the inside out. And a lot of times the food that we're feeding them is the biggest factor in them being able to repel things like fleas and ticks, or to be able to handle something if they are exposed to things like Lyme, right? Their body needs to be healthy enough to be able to handle those issues. And that can oftentimes start with diet. And that is a whole nother topic. Yeah.
Awesome. We did have a question about what to use on a hot spot on the head.
Yeah, good question. So my suggestion, if your dog is somehow prone to hot spots, again, we want to look at things like diet. That's a big issue with hot spots. But get your dogs used to oils before the next hot spot so that you can use an oil like, I would probably use Copaiba. Copaiba is very mild. Moms will actually use Copaiba on teething babies. Yeah, you want to dilute it a little bit, but it's mild enough. It's not like putting clove or thieves in your mouth, which can be alarming. Copaiba is really mild. So this would probably be one that I would use on the head, especially if your dog's not used to oils, because it's not going to be overwhelming. Lavender is also another great one. Okay, it's mild, it's soothing. Although I don't know if Judy is still on here. I don't think she is, because she had some sound issues, but her dog hates lavender, right? So we probably wouldn't use lavender on him on his head, right? If he had a hot spot on his back end, yeah, we'd probably go ahead and do that. So again, use just, think about that. But copaiba is one that is really, really mild. Frankincense, also another good one. We're going to talk more about these products this week. Do I have it with me? I think it's in my box over there. But the Animal Sense line, the Animal Sense oils, we have Infectaway, Mendwell, even Puriclean. Puriclean, I've got that one in my hand. So those are 3 oils in the Animal Sense line that would be good. They're already pre-diluted for dogs. But if we're talking about a dog that's got a hot spot on their head or around their eyes or, on their face, and they're not used to oils, we might want to dilute it even more. A little bit will go a long way. And oils are great for hot spots, by the way, because they dry. It dries them right out. It helps with the itchiness. It helps with any infection. I would only use essential oils for a hot spot. That's all I would use. So.
Denise, how would you apply it? Do you want to say how to apply it?
Yeah, I would literally just drop it right on. One of the things with a hot spot is, let me just explain this. They get oozy. Gross. You want to hot pack it. Get a really warm compress. A lot of times they get a hot spot. I'm going to reference this area. That's where they get them a lot of times, because they'll get a bug bite or they'll scratch and they open something up. It's moist dermatitis, right? They open something up and bacteria gets in and boom, you got a hot spot, in a nutshell. So I would hot pack it. Sometimes you have to trim the hair if it's goopy and oozy and it's in the hair. I don't like to trim the hair on my dogs. So I'll stick them in the tub with the shower thing, the hose, and I'll just wash it all out. I will literally use my Animal Scent shampoo and I will douse that thing and wash it up and get all that oozy crap out of the hair. And then if you want to trim some of the hair, you can. If it's easier for you to keep clean, that's common. You can just trim the hair. Then I will dry it pat with a paper towel. You really want it dry. You want that hot spot dry. The more, the wetter it is, the more moist it is, the longer it's going to take to heal. Dry it really well. And then I would apply my oil and I would literally just drop it on there. Sometimes it's hard if, with your dog. It's not like you can say, hey, stay still. I'm going to drop this on you on that little painful spot on the side of your face. If you've got I don't have one with me right here, but a little dropper, sometimes it's easier if you can just get a little dropper and drop it rather than waiting for the oil to come out of the bottle. And then they move and you drop it in their eye or whatever. So if you got a little dropper, sometimes it's a little bit easier to apply it. And you don't have to douse the hot spot. It doesn't need to be a drop of oil in every single area. If you put like a drop in the middle of that hot spot, or even around the edges, a few drops around the edges to help it prevent it from spreading, that's helpful too. Does that help? Darlene, did I forget anything? I know you and I have dealt with that.
No, that's why I asked. I'm like, oh yeah, Toby. Yeah, no, that was, yeah, very good. I deal with it every year with Toby.
Not this year. He's all done with that.
No.
All right. Any other specific questions that you're dying to know about?
I have a question. When you're dealing with, like, my dog weighs 91 pounds. When you're dealing with a large dog, but you have a cat around, are you going to be more careful?
Darlene?
They don't snuggle, but.
Whatever I put on my dog, my cats, if they don't want to be around the dog, they just stay away.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I don't have a cat, and that's why I refer to Darlene, because she has cats and lots of cats. You might actually have more animals than I do right now, darling.
I don't have a cat. I was just curious because we do go visit a home where there's a cat around all the time.
Yeah, no, so cats just, they're okay with oils. They're used in veterinary practices all the time, and they do very well with oils. You just, they metabolize them even more slowly than dogs, right? Horses,
Okay.
I forget where goats and sheep fit into that, but dogs, cats. So they're going to metabolize them much more slowly. So you do want to be careful. And if they don't want to be around, they're going to hightail it out. Right? So yeah, same type of thing. But typically they love them.
I was gonna say this one, he's around, or I don't make any special exceptions for him. So
Yeah.
All right, Denise. So for, can you talk about TUA a little bit for car sickness, for thunderstorms?
Yeah, so TUA is a wonderful blend, and it's specifically designed, I don't know if anybody's used something like Stress Away or Peace and Calming. So they're soothing oils, right? TUA is specific for animals, and it contains soothing oils. And it is very good for dogs that are afraid of, going on car rides or thunderstorms or fireworks or things like that. The thing with dogs, using oils with dogs, they associate smells. Well, we do too. We associate certain smells with certain events in our lives, but you don't want to apply TUA to your dog when they're already nervous and scared, right? You don't want to put it on them right before you're going to go into the car if you know they hate going for rides. You don't want to put it on them when it's already thundering or the fireworks just started to go off, because they're going to associate this smell with something that scares them. So you want to think ahead a little bit and go, you know what, I think I'm going to start diffusing this when we're just in the house and everything's calm and they're feeling safe, and they're going to start to put it on you, put a drop on you, get a little diffuser bracelet or put it on you somehow. You can become a giant diffuser, you can snuggle your dog, whatever. Use it when they're already feeling safe and calm. And you want to do that for several weeks prior so that they start associating this smell with something positive rather than something that's going to be scary to them. So let's say they are used to it, they're comfortable with it. You can apply this to them. Again, you can do any method you want at this point. You can put it in the palm of your hand. You can rub it on their body. You can put it on a bandana. Great car diffusers. You can put, they're like little vent clips. You can put this in your car, which is really great. That's a nice way to do it. And they can start to feel more secure that way. There's something else I was going to say and I lost my train of thought, so it's gone. Sorry.
So Denise, I think I'm going to stop the recording just because I think we've gone a little bit over time, but we can continue to answer questions if people want to stick around, right? I'll just end the recording so we don't have a super large file.
Sounds
right.
okay.
Is there anything else you want to say before I end the recording?
Just want to thank everybody for being here. And if you have questions, reach out.
Okay.
We'll help you out.
So we're going to have another one.